Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Jodo Cast, your Star Wars gaming podcast. This is episode 89. My name is Evan Lewis. I am, of course, joined by Joe Latovsky.
Yo!
Because Yo Joe, because that's how that works. That's a nice deep cut there to the 80s. I like that. Callback to the 80s. Alright, we don't have a Leo, but what we do have are awesome patrons over at patreon.com. They are all awesome people, still the best people on the face of the earth. We appreciate every single one of them. And I think we're going to be having some new special things maybe happening soon. We shall see. We've got some things in the works for those folks, but if you want to know more about what I'm talking about, you can head over to patreon.com/thejodocast, and you can see all the cool and amazing things that patrons do for us, and some of the cool ways that we have found to say thank you to them. You can find a link for that over at the website, jodocast.com, along with links to all the rest of our social media sites. Most importantly, is our Discord server, where one of us, or all of us, or some of us are on there pretty much all day, every day, and you can hop on there. Even if you're not a patron, you can just stop by and talk about Star Wars stuff, and not Star Wars stuff, and game stuff, and not game stuff, whenever you feel like it. Also, at the top of the homepage for JodoCast is a feedback survey, and you can tell us what you love, what you hate, and what you want to see different. And... oh, were you about to say something?
I was going to say, if you play Legion, there is a Legion army builder on our website now, too, that Leo's been working on that I think works pretty great. And it's my go-to thing now for making Legion armies.
There you go. You're not just the president, you're a member, too.
Yeah, I was like, well, I'm going to, help debug it and test it, and now I'm like, I like this one.
And even though I don't play Legion, I've looked at it, and it seems like exactly what I would want. I mean, compared to like other, like X-Wing builders and whatnot that we've used over the years, Leo has really whipped something up, and it's pretty awesome. Too bad we can't tell him that, but he is indisposed tonight. But we thank him for his hard work and dedication to making your lives easier, all you Legion people who are not me. But we are still going to move on and talk about what we've been playing. I'd ask Leo, but I think he's playing Take Care of the Baby tonight, or Stop Being Sick, or probably both. So, Joe, what have you been playing?
I've gotten a couple games of Imperial Assault the other night, and Legion. And a lot of Spider-Man, but that's off topic. So
I think half our conversations are off topic.
Yeah, Legion and Imperial Assault. I'm almost done painting Sabine, which means then I'll have all of my Spectre units painted, which is exciting.
Yeah, those of us on Discord have been getting to see that one get finished up. And do you have any left after that one? Like grand total of all your Imperial Assaults?
Yeah. All the new stuff still. 4 Death Troopers, Thrawn, Hondo, the 2 new heroes, 4 things of Lothcats is what I have to do for Imperial Assault still.
Okay. Well, I guess they did just come out, so.
Mm-hmm. After I finish Sabine, I'm going to switch back to Legion and paint up all my Legion stuff, which is Han and a group of commandos and my moisture evaporators and crates and stuff. Then I'll go back to Imperial Assault.
Well, it's funny you mention that because, again, seeing conversations on Discord, because we've got a couple of places on Discord where we just talk about miniatures games, then we have another whole area we talk about painting and crafting, and you mentioned that after having played a bunch of Legion and a bunch of Imperial Assault, your love for Imperial Assault has not been diminished.
Oh yeah, so we played 2 games of Imperial Assault the other night when we went to Legion League, or not Legion League, it's not League, just Legion meetup night, and we were like, let's go play Imperial Assault. And we went there and played that. And after playing that, I was like, I still like Imperial Assault better.
Is it just the mechanics of the game, or squad versus the army?
Yeah, I think it just has way more personality. Like, I was trying out the new Spectre Cell card, which requires you just to have all 6 of the characters from Rebels. And that's it. Just those 6 pieces are your army. And that's just super fun to have those characters running around together. It's never going to happen in Legion. I really like Legion, but Imperial Assault has so much more, like, personality, and I think it has more kind of big moments where, the dice go crazy, or somebody pulls off some kind of crazy move because the command cards can get real funky. I feel like there's more emotion packed into Imperial Assault Skirmish than Legion.
Yeah, and as I have been doing lots and lots of painting lately, that's kind of the main thing that I've been doing. Trying to practice on D&D miniatures so that when I start doing Imperial Assault guys, I'm actually experienced, and it's not just going to be, ruin the first guy that I start. Although I haven't ruined anything yet. So that whole idea of,
nice.
what if it's gone? That's gone. But, I'm thinking about more miniatures and more miniatures games, and looking at some of the bigger, like, army-style miniatures games. And yeah, I think you hit it on the head. Imperial Assault has much more personality than Legion. I mean, if you like just having armies of faceless dudes, that's fine. But you want to play with named people you know.
Personality into Legion. Like, I've customized some of my little dudes and given all my squads their own little flavor, but it's not quite the same as having a bunch of unique people run around together, or, having some Lothcats on your team.
I mean, maybe that's all it's going to take to make Legion better, is the official neutral Lothcat expansion. Either side will be able to use them. But in any event, yeah, I am really looking forward to starting to paint up Imperial Assault. I think I'll be more inclined to force people to play with me, since I'm pretty sure I'm the only one of my group that has it. So it would basically be like, come over, we're going to play this game instead of anything else. And it's going to take a while for me to teach you. It's going to take a while for me to set up the board. But trust me, it'll be worth it. And having my guys all painted up looking awesome, I think will add to that quite a bit. Because that's one of the things that's been holding me back on jumping on, is like, I feel like these damn things should be painted.
I think everybody who played Imperial Assault played it a whole bunch before painting anything, if they ever painted anything. I don't think they needed to be painted. It's a lot more fun if they're painted.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't need to paint them.
I guess I don't need to, but I want them to be painted.
So
soon they will
be able to play until you get your whole core box painted?
I will do heroes first. That way, because that's what you're going to see more of the time.
Is it though? So in any given game are you talking about skirmish or campaign?
Probably campaign.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say 90% of the games, maybe 99% of the missions feature stormtroopers. Okay.
Right, yeah.
Now, you only get to bring 4 out of the 6 heroes, which means any hero you have has less chance of being in every single mission, because 2 of them are just going to be left out altogether.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. So I'm saying is you're guaranteed to see stormtroopers more often than any of your heroes.
That's
statistically.
Okay, yes. Statistically speaking, you're absolutely 100% correct. Statistically speaking. But as far as time on the, well, maybe not time on the board, but just caring about them more.
Right. That's true. I would say if you can find a group to cajole into playing with you, see which characters they like best, and then just start with those ones.
Well, that's an idea. I can probably manage that.
So I think all of the core heroes are... I don't think any of them are any better than the other ones, except maybe Fenn. I don't think I ever see people playing with him. Maybe Garkon, but Garkon is fun to paint. I think they're all fine, especially if it's a new group and nobody's like trying to be all meta about campaign.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I had played... Well, I played as Garkon one time I played with you, and then I selected Gideon so that I could buff the hell out of people or whatever he does in another game. But... So yeah, so now I'm just like, ooh, armies, miniatures, stuff... And I keep trying to get myself to be excited about Legion, and I can't, but whatever. So, we're not going to talk about Legion tonight. You and Leo can do that sometime when, I don't know, when you're both here, and you don't want to hear from me too much. Which is fine, those happen. I know how those go. But, tonight, I'm really excited, because we're going to do one of my favorite things that we've done, and that's make some tales on the spot, some Tales from Imperial Assault, and this time Tales from Twin Shadows.
If you, dear listener, remember last time we did this, we looked at all of the original characters from the Imperial Assault core box, so the 6 heroes and Weiss, the villain, and we made up backstories for them based on what little information we get about them on their cards or the missions or whatever. So this time we're doing the same thing, but for the Twin Shadows expansion. So that is Saska, Teft, Biv Bodrick, and Kane Somos.
And I guess without getting into spoilers, because I don't know how the story is, what's the basic gist of Twin Shadows?
Oh my god, when did this come out?
Is there a story?
I think it has something to do with Han Solo and Boba Fett a little bit. I honestly don't remember the gist of the campaign. I mean, it's a mini campaign, so it's only like I think it's only like 3 or 4. It's only 4 missions.
Mm-hmm.
Which are honestly more fun to play because it's easier to get people to commit to 4 missions than 13.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I can see that. Yeah, in the short description, it does mention that you try to rescue Han Solo or help him out in some way and fight Boba Fett.
I mean, there is a crawl in this book. Because everything in Star Wars needs a crawl.
Of course.
Hopefully, people will stop that now that Rogue One and Solo are like, nah. Not important. Well, it says the galactic civil war continues to rage through the galaxy. The Empire's reach grows longer and its grasp becomes tighter. Even those on the outer rim cannot escape. In response to this growing threat, Han Solo's gone to the desert planet Tatooine with R2 and 3PO, hoping to investigate the Imperials. You lose communication with Solo and a team of elite rebel operatives. Speed toward the planet, hoping to find answers. Okay, so Han Solo went out of contact on Tatooine, but I think you've solved that in the first mission, so I don't know what the story is. Doesn't matter.
Fair enough.
Because these guys' backstories happen before this story. So who are we starting with?
Well, let's start with the very cool-looking Biv Bodrick.
Yeah. It's so sad that his piece is just kind of mediocre in skirmish and might be okay in campaign. I'm not sure. Because he looks really cool. This giant dude holding a big gun. He's got some stormtrooper armor. So, his personal mission is called Past Life Enemies. And the flavor text on it says, no one in the rebellion seems to know the origin of Biv Bodrick's vengeful hatred for stormtroopers, just that he is the most ruthless and efficient stormtrooper killer available. So when operatives lost contact with C-3PO during a recon of a potential stormtrooper outpost on Tatooine, Biv was on the top of the list to complete the mission. Okay. So apparently he's known amongst the rebels for being the best at killing stormtroopers.
Okay. I mean, when I say the best, is it like the most efficient or the most brutal? Is he like from the Inglorious Bastards squad of the Rebellion?
I get that impression just by the character art. He's a giant guy with a huge gun. It doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who, takes people out silently. His subtitle is Vengeful Gorilla. Like, I feel like he's leaning towards Saw Gerrera level of crazy, violent.
Well, and this all takes place theoretically. I know we had talked about this before, how the early sets did have a kind of a timeline, like they were in a defined point in the story.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he is part of what's left of the partisans.
Okay, and then he didn't we have this? No, we had the other way around. Our Fen story. I don't remember. Wasn't he from Onderon? I don't know. He had some kind of connection, but I like he was a partisan and then joined the actual rebellion after they all died off. And they're like, okay, as long as you promise not to be, you got to do what we say. It's like, okay. Like, can I still rip spines out? And they're like, yeah, I guess.
Well, maybe Biv and Finn knew each other.
Fen?
And one was Fen, yeah, Fen.
I'd have to re-listen to what we came up with for Fen. I don't remember how he was connected.
I'm pretty sure he had seen too many, too much extremism and was like, no.
Okay.
This isn't going to work for me.
So this guy was cool with the extremism and only joined the main Rebel Alliance because there was no other people left in the partisans to like maintain any sort of organization.
One of his abilities is called close and personal, so I think the brutality is definitely up his alley.
Deadly precision. That just makes the way he's got this really big gun makes me think of Baze in Rogue One, where he can just like lay down a spread of fire and just hit a bunch of stormtroopers and not miss.
Maybe he saw that in action at some point and was like, that's a really good idea. I'm going to get me one just like that. Because it does look an awful lot like it.
Yeah, it doesn't have like a backpack. But it is a big gun that needs like a shoulder strap. And it's got like a side handle.
Mm-hmm. He likes to put the Rebel emblem like everywhere.
It's on his gun. And his right arm is in Stormtrooper armor with a Stormtrooper pauldron with the Rebel logo on it. So he definitely killed a Stormtrooper and took that. I'm going to assume the Stormtrooper who that belonged to lost that arm. Like, he just cut the guy's arm off, beat him with his own arm, and then he's like, I like this. And then he just takes the armor from that arm to remember the day he beat a guy to death with his own arm. He's got one of those trendy, Middle East American military contractor scarves.
Oh, yeah. Yep, that's right. Yeah, he seems like he'd roll in and just kind of take something to remember a mission by.
I imagine he likes space cigars. So, alright, well, what's his, he was from whatever planet, doesn't matter. He probably lost everything from whatever planet he was on. Like, probably his wife and kid got killed by the Empire and he didn't. And then he saw and was like, yo, I want in. And Saw's like, you crazy? And he's like, yeah, I'm crazy. And they're like, all right, cool.
Yep.
And then there were
that's the
best
only
buds. They
qualification.
probably had like some kind of secret handshake that just him and Saw had.
Oh man, poor Biv.
So where was he on Jeddah? Was he off-world? There were some partisans off-world when they all got blasted on Jeddah. That's the premise of the Inferno Squad books.
Inferno Squad, yeah. Yeah, he was probably, if he wasn't there, he was off, I don't know, maybe, well, not trying to find... Ooh, maybe he was sent to try to verify the content of the message.
Or he was on like a personal mission. So you know this stormtrooper whose arm he ripped off and beat to death with it. It's like a stormtrooper officer because it has an orange pauldron. Maybe that officer was the one responsible for killing his family.
Ooh, or maybe he was involved in that, but it turns out that the commander of that company that killed his family is actually Kane Somos.
Okay. So we've got a generic planet where this giant man named Biv probably is like a farmer or something. He's like... He used to do things that involved killing people until he like settled down on a farm and like had a wife and kid. And then the Empire came to town and burned everything down, and his wife and kid died, and he crawled out of the rubble and he dug out his gun that he had like locked away. Something really cliche where he's like back in the game.
Yeah, this is like, well, I mean, it's like like I said, it's kind of a cliche story, but it works.
I kind of almost like it better that he's not involved with the partisans, and he's just a one-man stormtrooper killing, I was going to say team, but he's can't have a team if you're one man.
He's an army of one.
Right, and then, like, at some point, he was killing stormtroopers, and some other rebels were there, and they were like, you need, friends? And he's like, no, but they convince him to, join up because they have more, they can help him kill more stormtroopers.
And that's all the motivation he needs to make friends. All right, so we're going with that one then? He's just a one-man wrecking crew? All right.
Yeah. Yeah, and
he's basically the Punisher.
Yeah, he's the Star Wars Punisher, but he only punishes stormtroopers.
That's reasonable.
And at least one of them he ripped the arm off of and beat him to death with, and now he wears that armor on his arm.
If he sees a Death Star trooper, they're fine. Just stormtroopers. Scout troopers, he's a little indecisive.
He's probably got like a full back tattoo of like some kind of gnarly stormtrooper skull helmet type thing. And there's no way this guy has anything but like the deepest voice you've ever heard. Like almost so deep you can barely register what he's saying. Maybe like, or whoever voices, I was playing God of War 3 and I was like, Kratos, his voice sounds familiar. And it's the guy who plays Mace Windu. Except just angrier, because Mace Windu's not like that angry. So just get that guy voices him, except like as angry as Kratos. So he just has Kratos' voice.
I can see that. Well, in fact, he's rocking the beard. We can't even see how big his beard is, unless it's miniature.
No, it's under his trendy houndstooth.
Okay.
Desert scarf.
Even in the mini? Yeah, even in the mini. So, hey, his beard might be every bit as massive. He has the scowl of Kratos.
Well, I think Kratos has a different voice actor in the new game, which I haven't played yet. He's wearing a tiny little waistcoat, which I assume is normal person sized. Yeah, I don't see this guy as getting any sort of like
I want it to just barely fit. I don't think he'd be able to zip that up either. If he like pulled it together to zip it, I don't think that would go anywhere. It's like he just needed something.
I feel like at least
besides
one
a white
point
t-shirt.
he killed a stormtrooper by punching him with one of his pecs. Like Terry Crews style peck dancing, but like lethal. Because he had no other weapons at the time.
Hey, it's that close and personal skill of his.
Okay, well, so he was like a Punisher, and then eventually joined up with the rebels after he realized that it's not like the worst place for him to be because they have similar goals. What kinds of rumors go around the rebel crew about him? They don't know what happened to him because, like this card said, no one in the rebellion seems to know the origin of his vengeful hatred for stormtroopers, just that he's the most ruthless and efficient stormtrooper killer available. So they don't know why he does it, but they know that he does it. So what sort of things might they think, or that like stories of what he's done to stormtroopers?
I don't know. All of a sudden, like I have this idea for, not his actual story, but a rumor, a tale told by plain old rebel troopers about this guy, that he's either a genetically modified clone trooper who's lived this long and hates the new stormtroopers, or he's like the son of a rogue clone trooper. Something involving that.
Okay.
So this guy is just a big killing machine, and those clone troopers were, seen as the elite of the elite. I don't know. I'm sure someone came up with that story after a bunch of drinking and seeing him not wanting to be social. Because Biv Bodrick is not going to be a social guy.
No. He stays to himself. Somebody will go up to him and be like, how's it going, buddy? And he'll go, And they'll be all right. And then they leave.
And he can drink the worst rot gut jet fuel booze and not even flinch. Doesn't even register for him that it's booze and not just water.
I heard somebody once handed him a glass full of X-Wing fuel and he didn't even notice. Just went right down.
I heard he killed an entire legion by himself.
I heard he killed 3 stormtroopers at once with just his little finger. I heard he can crack a stormtrooper helmet in his bare hands. Oh man, can you imagine him the mountaining a stormtrooper? Like eye gouging out a stormtrooper, but the helmet.
Oh gosh. oh my gosh. I'll bet at least half the rebel troopers think that arm with the stormtrooper armor is cybernetic. Maybe it is.
His hand is flesh. It'd be weird to have like.
Well,
I guess
have a glove
Luke.
on.
Well, he's definitely not wearing a glove in his artwork. He's wearing a glove on the other hand, but I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. They've got fake skin. Look at Luke's hand.
Yeah, top of the line. I don't know what his ultimate fate would be in the novelization of Biv Bodrick.
I feel like he would pull a Baze and like go out doing fighty stuff, but like not quite as like what happens in these stories. Like he's almost like, the story of Gladiator where some government person was responsible for his family's death, so he's probably got to find that person and kill them, but then like he dies after he's like, yeah, I got him.
In the final showdown with Kane Somos. Because once we talk about him, I mean, he sounds like not too much of a slouch.
Maybe he finds new love. Or maybe he gets like a pet and goes home and he rebuilds his farm and lives alone with this like cat or something. And then right before the fades to black, you see him smile for the first time.
Aw. Yeah, maybe during the Lothal campaign, like he's stationed there with the rebels and, helps some kids, and they take a shine to him. He tries to scare them off, and they don't run away. And then he becomes a farmer.
And then some local thugs show up and they kill his pet, and then he goes into John Wick trope mode.
Goes back to work. That's how the comic book version ends, is just him getting the gun out one more time. Back in the game.
Spit shining it with his sleeve.
All right. Well, that's the tale of Biv Bodrick. That was pretty good. So.
Oh, hey, if you search Biv Bodrick on Google, one of my pictures is in like the second row of results, at least for me, of me painting him. It's not as good
in
as
the images.
Yeah, if you search Google Images for Biv Bodrick, mine is on there.
In the second row?
Yeah, it's a picture of him in front of like a tablet showing a picture of him.
Oh, okay, from Reddit.
Yeah.
Aha! You're world famous on Google. That's a good paint job. All right. Shall we talk about our next person?
Yeah.
And that is Saska Teft.
Saska Teft. All right, let me pull up her little mission card here. It says her mission is called Shady Dealings. Her subtitle is Brilliant Engineer. Saska Teft's black market gadgeteering trade may have its shady side, but it also comes with the fringe benefit of many underworld contacts. When it comes to information brokering, she is as efficient as R2-D2 is with a computer terminal. It only makes sense that Command wants them both to investigate Imperial rumors on Tatooine, Saska's home turf. Okay, so we know that she's like an information broker. She's got underworld connections, and she's from Tatooine. And she has the cool gun, what can I think of its name?
Is that a night sniper?
No, that's like a DH-19 or whatever Kanan has.
Ooh. Oh, okay.
I used to know because it was my favorite pistol in Battlefront.
So she's from Tatooine. Huh. From Tatooine, or
it says it's her home turf, so at least she's spent plenty of time there.
I find it so funny that Tatooine produces so many pale-skinned people. Well,
it's a DL-18.
Ah.
I really like that gun. It's cool.
So you think she was a slave that was brilliant with mechanical things?
She hacked her way out of slavery. I think she has a Russian accent.
Oh, with a name like Saska? Yeah,
Saska Teft, yeah. She's got a Russian accent. Yeah, she's probably from a different planet, and then she was brought to Tatooine for whatever reason as a young person.
I have in the back of my head that, like, her parents had money, and, like, maybe she had to travel around with them, and they wound up on Tatooine, and she either stayed there or was stuck there.
Maybe her parents just got killed. They got robbed, and her parents were killed, and she scurried away to safety. But then she had to, like, live on her own.
No family is safe on tonight's episode of Tales from Imperial Assault.
Well, if her family's wealthy and they aren't dead, how's she going to be stuck there?
Right. I mean, I guess I was thinking the same thing, too. I don't know if maybe they were originally involved in shady stuff.
Oh. So they're like, all right, pay up or give us your daughter. And they're like, well, that's an easy choice. Here you go.
Yeah.
All right, that's better. That way we have less dead family.
Now we just have an asshole family that she tracks down later.
Yeah, so she was the daughter of like a crime family who didn't care about her very much.
Yeah. And she, in her artwork, does not plaster the rebel symbol all over everything. She's much more subtle.
She's definitely gadgety. She's got like some kind of data pad and she's fixing her gun and she's got some kind of like doodad on her belt and goggles.
Yep, gotta have the goggles.
In the campaign, she hands out like gadget tokens. It's like her thing. She gives gadgets to or devices or whatever, which aren't that useful.
I was gonna say, what do they do? Give you like rerolls or something?
Yeah, they give you rerolls and like other minor benefits.
That sounds like a less good version of Gideon or Leia.
Okay, so we got how she got on Tatooine. And then I don't think she worked for Jabba. She probably found a way to work for herself. Whoever she got like pawned off onto, she found a way to get her kind of independence. Maybe she freelances for that person. Because how does she get to the rebellion? The Empire does show up eventually. And maybe she's like, I don't like these guys. And then there's somebody standing there who's like, did I just hear you say you don't like the Empire? I've got a job for you. Hands on the pamphlet that says join the rebellion.
I mean, if they're paying.
Maybe she went to like college on Tatooine and racked up a lot of student loan debt taking engineering. And the rebels have
Tatooine University, Anchorhead U.
Yeah, and the rebels have some kind of loan forgiveness thing.
Tuition reimbursement. Great.
She does strike me as somebody who would be in the rebellion for like less.
She joined for the college money.
Just off her artwork, she doesn't look like the kind of rebel who's like the most like idealistic and purely motivated rebel. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's not, like, for the Empire or anything, but she's also not, like, super gung-ho about the rebellion and all that stuff.
And what is... Well, yeah, have we talked about her mission yet?
Her mission was... The rebellion was just sending her and R2 to Tatooine to...
Oh, that's what Shady Dealings is?
Yeah. Investigate Imperial rumors.
Huh. Well, that doesn't tell us much.
There is some text that says, read only if Saskia text is a hero in the book. Okay, so you're sneaking through some back alleys in Mos Eisley, and you hear a stormtrooper yell, freeze, as a blaster bolt whizzes by your head. It seems that you aren't the only ones who discover the value of information in this alley. Read only if Saskia Taft is a hero. Saskia simply stops and laughs at the Imperials intent on interfering. What do they think they're doing, she says with a sarcastic tone. This is my hometown. I know my way around. R2 beeps in seeming agreement as she pulls out her blaster in one hand and an unknown but potent-looking device in the other one. Oh, that's not that helpful.
It's really not.
It doesn't even tell you what intel you get. You just get intel.
Right.
I assume at that point the device she pulls out is like a limpet mine or like some kind of sticky charge that she throws onto the stormtrooper's chest as he's like looks down and then sees it beeping. And then he dies. I imagine she likes being in the rebellion because it gives her an opportunity to work on spaceships, like as a mechanic, but also like doing her gadgetry stuff, like modifying the rebels' arsenal. Because the Empire is all standard. They don't get to customize stuff. in the Rebellion, she can be like, do you want extra scope on that gun? And they're like, this is Star Wars. Throw on as many scopes as you can fit. Like, I imagine that's like her niche in the Rebellion. Besides, apparently she's a skilled information broker. Like, just tinkering with everything. Like, you set your cup down when she's around, and if you don't careful, you pick it back up, and there's some kind of like LEDs on it now.
That'd be pretty sweet. From her reaction to the stormtroopers, sounds like she has almost a bit of a Afra attitude going on.
Yeah,
like she's not just a brilliant engineer. She's like, she knows how brilliant she is,
and she's like not afraid of a stormtrooper. She's just like, pfft.
Yeah, she does not care one bit.
Her mini is kind of cool. It's different pose than the artwork. She's like got her iPad in one hand and slinging with her pistol in the other hand.
Well, I wonder if her iPad is the gizmo that she pulls out in the scenario.
I feel like maybe if she's so connected with information, she's probably got her like tweet deck up on there, and she's, just really hooked into her social media. Like, none of the rebels just selfies? Like understand social media, and she does. So, like, you are the perfect person for this. Like, information broker makes me think of Mass Effect.
Oh yeah,
but she doesn't strike
first thing I thought about,
me as the kind of person who would have this large position. She just knows people. Like, she just likes to hang around the Rebellion, fixing stuff, modifying stuff. But when they need, like, information from less reputable sources, they go and they ask her. They're like, do you think you can get us a meeting with so-and-so? Or can you tell us what's up with this person? And she's like, oh, yeah. This is what's up with that particular seedy element. Because I used to hang out with them on Thursdays.
I would imagine she gets most of her work done remotely, too. She probably doesn't enjoy being around people. And not in the same way that Biv is just sort of aloof from everyone else.
Right. She's probably really sarcastic if people try and get close.
Yeah. She has everything she needs delivered.
She
opens up the door, grabs it, and goes back inside.
Goes back to her workbench.
Yep.
She definitely has a workbench.
And like 10 monitors.
Could you have 10 monitors in Star Wars? They'd all have to be like CRT screens built into a wall or your desk. Or like a bunch of like data pads.
That's a good point.
Like when you think of somebody with a multi-monitor display, it's kind of like a nice wraparound. I don't think that's not something you usually see in Star Wars. She's got like one screen that has some meaningless green lines on it or something like that.
It's kind of an Easter egg, actually. It's just a vectographic Star Wars game. So I wonder... Okay, so how does... I'm trying to think if we can rope Kane Somos into her story, or if she doesn't even have like an arch nemesis, like a big defining moment coming up. It's just her slow character development is her thing.
Well, also maybe just her getting more comfortable around other people, and maybe like getting some kind of vengeance on her parents, not like killing them or anything, but like using her technical know-how to like sabotage their like organization.
I do like that one. That seems like the kind of thing that would make for a really good side quest for that character. It's like, you've got some intel, you're going to go off mission for a little bit, you're going to take care of this one thing, and if you have to do it alone, you'll do it alone, but your team goes with you to help you out.
Can we talk to Fantasy Flight or Asmodee Interactive or Fantasy Flight Digital or whatever they call it, and basically remake Mass Effect 2, but with the Imperial Assault characters and new side missions and stuff?
This is a pretty good idea. Or we get them to make, I can't think of the app missions with these.
Say
with
what?
Cinematics. The Imperial Assault app.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the only cost would be a
They've
little bit
got-
of programming.
I mean, I'm sure it's not even entirely feasible, but they have digital models of all of these characters. You just gotta load that into Unity or whatever you want to 3D animate something and then put a skeleton in it and get it to move.
I mean, the cost to do that are certainly not much compared to a few years ago. They could
I'd settle
outsource
for
that to some college kids to do.
I just settle for a motion comic.
Oh, that would be great. I love motion comics. I don't know. Some people talk down on them, but I think for something like that, for the Legends of the Alliance app, would be perfect. And it's not as if they don't already have lots of great art to pull from. Man, oh man. Now I'm just going to be daydreaming about, oh man, this would be such a cool thing. All right.
In the meantime, we'll just have to settle for our own Tales of Imperial Assault, which will be published by whoever published those old Tales books sometime in the next decade.
Not Bantam Spectra?
Man, we need to Photoshop like a cover like those old ones. I just had like a montage of characters on the front.
There you go. I mean, we could just take the covers of the core set and the big box expansions and Photoshop those into an old weathered paperback.
Some of the box expansions, like Twin Shadows has Boba Fett on the front. That's not...
Yeah, that's about as generic as you can get. Return to Hoth, that's got a good cover on it.
Great cover, except... And now, thanks for reminding me about this.
Uh-oh.
Diala is on the cover, and her ears are anatomically incorrect. Which is like the nerdy... I feel like, am I supposed to feel ashamed that this bugs me, or should I feel like confident that this bugs me? But as we all know, Twi'lek females have squishy cones for ears, and males have kind of like normal/elf ears. And on the cover of Return to Hoth, Diala is shown to have like normalish/elf ears rather than the cones.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a no-no, artist. Otherwise, it's a really cool cover.
Yes, it is.
Maybe one of the coolest covers.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So, Saska's parents ditched her on Tatooine to pay off some debt. She grew up being all shady and stuff and fixing stuff. Joined the rebellion, fixed stuff there. Eventually got vengeance on her family with gadgetry. The end.
Hooray!
And her family is like homeless on Tatooine as she walks off into the sunset. Here's some more poetic whatever. At the beginning of the story, when she's, 13 or 15 or whatever, when they're on Tatooine, walking through the streets, and her parents are kind of like scoffing at the riffraff there, and there's like a beggar who's like begging for whoopee or whatever, and the dad like flicks a coin in his face or something really pompous. The end of the story, her parents are sitting there begging, and she walks by and she like scoffs at him or flicks a coin in their face.
That is really good.
But they don't know it's her because, they didn't see her grow up.
Right. Oof. Ooh, that's good. I was going to say, I hope we're taking notes, but we are literally recording this. All right, then. Unlike with Corset, we didn't have 6 people to get through. We only had 2. 2 heroes, that is. But we do have a villain to talk about. As we've mentioned, that's Kane Somos. And looking at his card and his figure, I mean, he is a stormtrooper?
Yeah,
I guess?
Stormtrooper, his subtitle's Trooper Commander. If you see his full art, he's like point blanking a rebel in the chest while there's other stormtroopers behind him. He's like a front lines combat guy. His alternate art card is like a first-person perspective of getting punched in the face by him. Like he's grabbing the scruff of your shirt, about to punch you in the face. There's even blood on his knuckles. It's a pretty cool bit of art. But I feel like we got kind of free reign to say what we want about him.
Yeah, pretty much. We are not given as much of a villainous arc as we were with Wise, correct?
Yeah. Kane Somos is in this one. As you approach the base, a Stormtrooper commander strides out, shouting to his troops, "Fight harder, fools! We cannot let this rebel slime undo all we've done." That seems to be the only bit of dialogue of his I can find in here. Yeah, I mean, I think the gist of him is that he's a commander of maybe like a company or something, and he's like a hard ass. I mean, from that one quote, he's calling his men fools, so he probably doesn't think too highly of them. Maybe he's a veteran of the Clone Wars. Maybe he's a clone trooper. Probably not, because he's got a first and last name. Could be.
Unless maybe Kane was like KN. I don't know what to do with Somos.
I mean, maybe he was like, oh, everyone else has a first and last name.
Yeah?
I'll take one for myself. Because if he's... I mean, there's lots of reasons to belittle your stormtroopers, but that could be one reason. Because I feel like he knows, or at least feels, that he's so much more competent than the men he has to lead all the time. He's always frustrated about the work he has to do because his men aren't competent enough for him. Because he, just runs through rebels and beats them up and shoots them in the chest, and his men are back there like their guns are slipping out of their hands. Oops.
Yeah, I don't know if it speaks to him very much, but one of his skirmish upgrades is Rule by Fear. It's got a picture of Death Star 2, but, I mean, maybe that does say something about his personality.
I feel that's definitely how his leadership style. He's not close with his people. He probably enjoys striking fear into the inhabitants of Tatooine. He might be sort of like a mix between like the bully who grew up to become a cop and like somebody cooler than that, because he's stuck on Tatooine, so he can't be that important. But I like...
Or maybe he was brought in after the garrison there allowed the Falcon to get
so now
away.
They're like, let's send somebody competent. Like, I like to think he knows some kind of martial arts and he's sitting there at the base like punching a bag or something. Or he has his troops come up and try and fight him in hand-to-hand combat, and he just puts them down.
And they all walk away with bruises at the end of the day.
Outside of their armor.
Yeah, he just punches straight through the armor.
Okay, I like that. I like that. He's been sent to Tatooine because of the incompetence that has been displayed there. Because before they were like, well, it's just Tatooine, whatever, we'll send the idiots there. And then later it's like, oh, we should have had good people there. And we need to send somebody to get these guys, knocked into shape. So he's there trying to sort out the lame troopers who are already stationed there.
He treats the locals like garbage and treats his own people like garbage. Man, I'm looking forward to the fight between Biv and Kane now.
Oh yeah, and it's going to come down to hand-to-hand. Like, they're going to have some kind of shootout in, like, a hangar or something, and both of their guns are going to run out at the same time for whatever reason. They're going to charge each other. And ignoring rebels, we're going to assume that Kane can stand up a little bit more because he's wearing armor. Because if you watch Rebels, Stormtrooper armor almost seems like it makes getting punched somehow more painful because he's just...
Yeah, I guess you're right. That did seem to be the
why
case.
does why does Biv hate Kane? Kane must have been involved in the attack that killed his family. I think as his house his town was burning, he sees a stormtrooper commander without a helmet on. Like the helmet's under his arm, and he's like wiping the sweat off his face as he just smiles. And like he always remembered that face. And so when he's fighting this guy, his helmet gets knocked off, and he's like, oh, it's you. Or maybe earlier he saw him without his helmet. He's like, it's that guy.
Yeah, I was thinking that Biv, like, killed his way up the chain to track him down.
That makes sense. Like interrogating and torturing stormtroopers and officers until he could find this guy.
Yeah. And he's got a pauldron, too. The same kind of pauldron, so...
What if the Biv we see in the art is the Biv after this fight is done? That's Kane's armor he's wearing.
Ooh. This just keeps getting better.
Maybe Biv's cold, his trail ran cold, or he knew he was on Tatooine and he was like, no, send me on that mission to Tatooine, I'm going. I'm like, okay. So then he like calls him out. Maybe Kane remembers him. Maybe Biv was like in the rubble of a burning house, like dying, looking up, and Kane was right over him, like, and was just like so cocky he didn't even bother to like put him out of his misery. He's like, I'm just gonna let this guy suffer. Like he just got done executing Biv's family or something. So at the end, Biv's like, face me, and Kane's like recognizes him. He's like, oh my god.
Oh man, I want to see this showdown. Dang it!
It's kind of like Ip Man 3, where it's the Ip Man versus Mike Tyson. It's a real weird fight where the one guy's really good at martial arts, which in this case would be Kane, and the other guy's just a brute who, just hits like a truck.
Picturing it being animated on Rebels. This is a really good fight in my head,
especially
people.
thinking about in Rebels, I'm thinking of Biv making his entrance by crushing two stormtroopers' heads together, like Zeb would do, just like. Then Kane turns around and he's like, "Can I help you?"
And of course, this does not end well.
Or he
for
just
Kane Somos.
Gives him like a Kane drops the Ronin the accuser line. Biv is kind of like Drax, where he's like, "You killed my wife." And he's like, "I don't remember killing them. I probably won't remember killing you either, but it actually goes well."
I was kind of thinking that, yeah.
Yeah, and then Biv just overkills him, like he's like a puddle. And he's still punching them, and Saska comes in, she's done with their mission. Because when they land, she's like, all right, let's do the mission. And Biv's like, I got other stuff to do. And she's like, what? Okay, whatever, I don't have time for this. Then she finds him, and he's like just sitting there. There's like plastoid shards in his knuckles from punching the stormtrooper armor. She grabs his shoulder. We gotta go. Holy shit.
Now this sounds like a page from Sin City. And it switches to black and white at this point. It's, because it can't be too bloody in Star Wars, so it's black and white now. All right. I was going to say, is that the end of Kane Somos?
Yeah, he's done.
I think it's most definitely the end of Kane Somos. I was going to ask you if any of the other characters, like the ally packs that came out, either with a wave or between waves, between big box expansions, if they had any stories to go along with. But you said they don't, but I think that's fine, because we certainly had a lot of story to talk about with just these three people. Yeah. I can't even imagine how long that first time we did it with all the original core characters must have been.
Yeah, so next time will be Return to Hoth, which include... That's a big box, so I think that one will have 4 characters instead of 3 to talk about.
Okay. And if I look at the villain packs, the villain in that
all the
one...
villains have been really lame. At least the earlier ones.
Oh, really?
Next one is General Soren.
General Soren?
He's like a Veers knockoff.
Oh, is he he's not cool like wise, huh?
No, he's just a dude.
Oh, wah. Just a dude.
I mean,
Oh, well.
Kane was kind of just a dude, and we came up with something. So I'm
That's
sure we can figure something out that'll be on the New York Times bestseller list when this book prints.
He's the half-brother of General Wise. Time to test those wits of yours.
I always thought I was meant to be a pilot. That's why they called me Soren.
But here I am in a walker. I assume he's a walker commander from the looks of him.
He's just like some kind of... I mean, he's a general, but he's just some kind of ground leader. He's not in a walker. He just walks around.
Oh, yeah,
he does have traits that affect vehicles and droids, but...
Okay. Yeah, I guess Thrawn did wear the exact same outfit in Rebels, too. Except white, yes. Only he gets white.
Tarkin wears that outfit. All the officers in Battlefront wear that if you're on the Hoth map.
Ah. All right. Well, we will get to that next time. Hopefully a little sooner than this one to the last one, because these are always so much fun. I think for both of us, we both get a kick out of this one. Mm-hmm. And not to
just
put
makes
pressure.
Me sad about the these characters deserve to be in some kind of comic series.
Oh yes, I agree. Well, we just got to get, cranking out that fan fiction, and before you know it, we'll be hired by somebody.
I don't think that works like that.
The Fanfic Writers Guild of America.
We're hiring you to write more Star Wars fan fiction. We're not paying you because that's the point of fan fiction.
Because we'll get sued, but keep writing. All right, well, we can wrap it up there for tonight, unless... we have any announcements? I don't think we do. At least not right this second. Might be some later. I say that now, but we might have to tack something on at a later date. But we'll see. We'll see if that comes to fruition or not. But in the meantime, thank you all for listening. Thank you, Joe, for coming on here and telling us what's what with these guys, because I don't have any of these cards or anything to look at, just the internet. So I'm glad we could do this again. I look forward to the next one. And again, thanks to everyone for listening. Patrons, thank you so much for all that you do. Thanks to everyone else. Comment and review and rate wherever you listen to us. We appreciate it a lot. And we'll catch you next time on the next episode of the Jodo Cast. Goodbye.
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 Now we're just... No, it's just squeaking.